Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video on my channel. I was gonna make a quick note first and all. I'm sick. Been sick a while, so that's why it has taken a long time before I was able to make this video. But anyhow, about 1.5 weeks ago I participated in the Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam for 2023. For those who doesn't know, it's a 48-hour jam, which makes it extremely stressful, but it's also a fantastic challenge. Although I only managed to work for around 16 to 20 hours of these 48 hours, I still came up with something. The theme for this year's jam was roles reversed. And when I first heard this, I thought like, the possibilities are endless. Like, you could do anything. I wanted to come up with something unique though, so I wanted to think about outside the box. I didn't want to settle for a basic idea that popped into my head. I wanted something that was a bit more special. So after scrambling, talking to my girlfriend about this, and browsing the web, I came up with an idea of a concept where you are a mage who has lost his power, except the ability to possess other people. So the mage is that is the player can only like do things through the enemies. And this was the foundation of my idea. I had a really clear image in my head of what I wanted to make, and like how the controllers should work and all of these things. So the first thing I did was creating an ideation page on something that is called Notion, my new favorite place to be on the web. And I also made a mood board so I could like gather all the inspiration I had. I spent around an hour to make these to fill this out and getting my ideas down, and with that said, I only had like 47 hours left. Once I have everything sorted out, I opened Unity, the most crucial step. I choose to work with the URP 2D preset because I wanted to add post-processing and other effects later on, even though that did not come into this jam, sadly. While in Unity, I started with adding a box with another box as its child to represent the player. Then I began working on the player movement script. This part required a lot of effort since it had been a while since I worked with Unity in this way, and I have not really made anything in 2D before, so only 3D stuff. So I had some mistakes right away out of the box. First I tried to work out how the new input system worked in Unity, and I can still confidently say that I don't know how it works. Not really, at least. It is not for the I will not be able to make anything good out of it without a tutorial or anything to help my ass out. And when the input system was in place, I made a script to control the movement. I wanted to use the WASD to move around and the mouse to select the direction. And to be fair, using the mouse to select the direction made ASD useless. But anyhow, the first problem I encountered was the mouse position. The or the direction function like just made everything look crazy. Nothing was right. This was mainly because of myself just being not knowledgeable enough about how the mouse dot position works. So of course I needed to change it from the screen space to the in-game space, if you can say like that. So instead of going from 0 to screen size, it went from the minus infinity to positive infinity with the start or the center point at 0, 0, 0 of the screen or of the scene. And this was tricky to fix, but I got it working in the end. Just a few seconds after I fixed this, I tried to fiddle around with a way to make the player sprint, and adding a force was not the way to go, as you might see. So a few tries later, I got everything to work by adding the position with the velocity in the movement direction, where the velocity was calculated by lerping between the current speed and the target speed in respect to time and acceleration. With the movement working, I started to block out the world. I had the idea of the player being escorted through a small passage with 4 guards following him. Then the player needed to possess a guard to later set the mage free and gain some power. But I already knew this was an ambitious idea, so I just ended up with a simple map out, block out, so I could try stuff. Because I knew I would not be able to do that kind of thing, so I tried to make like a closed level where I just needed to survive, even though I did not even come close to this either. But anyhow, but having the blockout came with a problem, as the player had no collision checks included because I did not think about it and needed to fix it. And that was probably the easiest part of the jam. Following by this, I wanted to explore the map, so I needed to make the camera follow the player as well. And that was achieved with a lerping method. Now the player and the basic map are done. Now we just need some enemies or guards. The way I decided to structure the enemies was using an FSM or finite state machine, as I've been taught about these in school, and also using some steering behaviors to move it around. But to not make this video super long, we don't need to talk about these methods too much. Anyhow, I started with making the steering behaviors, as just making them walk around was the most interesting part to give me the motivation, as I started to stress a lot here. The timer was like ticking real fast. And also started with the steering behaviors, because I love making wandering behaviors for some reason. You just need to ask my classmates. They think I'm crazy, sadly. But anyhow, I made a simple wandering by following a nice tutorial that I'll link in the description below. And then I made a simple movement script for the enemy that used the steering to make a force that made the enemy move. Simple as that. The produced force is the yellow line, like what makes the player walk forward. And the red one is the direction of the steering. Not really, but kind of. It's not fully the direction, but anyhow. Oh, yeah. And also I added collisions. Yeah. So now I had a great round to stand on. But the time was ticking. I only had a few hours left, like 5 hours. I felt something was odd with the camera, so I made a slight fix to this, which was to ramp up the lerping so it faster followed the player. Because I felt it fell behind a lot of the time when I walked around, especially when I was sprinting. And now it was time, possession time. But only 4 hours to do it. I had no idea how this should be done, and even though I have done it through visual coding in Unreal with nodes and things, it was a lot more simple in Unreal. You just needed to make some sort of actor to possess function, or you just need to call actor to possess function and say if it's and link the controller to it, and you were done. In Unity we needed to do a lot more. But anyhow, not to stress a lot here. I first needed to track the mouse position. Then I wanted to ray trace from the mouse position down into the plane of the world and check if I had a valid target to possess. And if I had, I needed to switch the movement to the enemy and deactivate it for the player after clicking on the mouse button 1. It sounds simple, but not being the best at C# and Unity, it took a bit of time. So after scribbling on paper, doing some research, I came up with a way that worked out. But to this point, only the position and the activity movement for the player was in place. And the clock was 45 minutes from the deadline, so changing the movement and everything, not a chance. I started to make a main scene instead, and a kind of ugly logo. Made some functionalities, made it a switch from the main scene to the game scene, and then I started to build it. But the WebGL had a lot of problems, errors and everything. I don't really remember the problem right now, but if I can, I will add it to the screen. But it was a simple fix. But this problem made me need a second build, which started 2 minutes before the deadline and finished 5 minutes after. But to my saving, I don't know, I got a mail. I got a mail where it stated that the jam has been extended with an hour because itch.io had problems. So I fixed the build and got it to work, and it got uploaded to itch.io 26 minutes and 12 seconds before the new deadline ended. So around 34 minutes after the deadline. The original deadline, so it was a hassle. But this is the final result. I ended up in the overall category in place 5526, as the ratings are done now when I'm finally doing the video, which is better than I thought. I thought I would be one of the 6,000th one. Because this was a really bad attempt and too ambitious idea, and with my girlfriend sick, I needed to take care of her, and also I care a lot about my sleep. It just, well, having 20 hours to make this is hard a little for me. But I was really happy with the result and and all the feedback. I have gotten a lot of good feedback to be able to continue working on this one. And to wrap it up, in that saying, I am going to work on the game, and I hope to release an update in just a couple of weeks, or just 1 week, I don't know. I haven't had the chance to start working on it yet, but I think I will start tomorrow. So please subscribe, like and follow my progress on this project and other things, and I will see you in the next video.